Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we have great news for Donald Trump out of the state of Michigan. Donald Trump is leading the latest poll from the Detroit Free Press. We see this here. He's at 47%. Kamala Harris down at 46%. And this is just yet another poll that's been released post-convention that is not looking too good for Kamala Harris. And we heard for the longest time, she's got all the momentum. She's going to get a convention bump. They thought Kamala mania would just rise and it would be Obama 08 all over again. And it's like, no, that's not what's happening here. This is a large astroturfing campaign. All that Kamala Harris has really done so far is get the, Democrats on board who were not telling pollsters that they were going to vote for Biden. Maybe they were parking their vote third party. That's why RFK dropped out of the race. Initially, he was hurting the Democrats because, he was a protest vote against both Biden and Trump, but a lot of Democrats who were voting for him fled. And then he was taking support away from Trump. That's why he dropped out, essentially. Not fully, but he suspended his campaign and endorsed Donald Trump for the election, and in the swing states tried to remove his name off the ballot. The same election boards that were trying to kick him off the ballot before, they want to keep him on. Michigan happens to be one of those states, but regardless, this is a good poll for Trump. And I'm not saying Trump is guaranteed to win Michigan because of one poll, but you look at the polls that we saw in the 2020 election in Michigan, because Donald Trump, he gets out this electorate unlike any other. He's able to get these working class white voters in the state of Michigan. A lot of them don't vote in midterm elections. A lot of them voted Democrat in recent memory. But these voters, they're a part of that Trump coalition. Some people think it's hard to believe that these people exist. Oh, you voted for some of them even did vote for Whitmer in the midterms for one reason or another. But Donald Trump, he is able to get these voters out no matter what, and possibly, down ballot, there are those positive effects, but there are question marks. Is he going to outrun Mike Rogers, who is polling behind Donald Trump? He did actually underrun John James in 2020, but part of it is these disaffected voters, they get out to vote. They vote Trump, straight ticket Republican when Trump is on the ballot. The suburbs, some of these other more suburban individuals in like Kent County, where Grand Rapids is, Oakland County, suburban Detroit, they tend to, vote for the Democrats now, but maybe they're a little bit more open to down ballot Republicans. That's why John James did so well. So we'll see. Mike Rogers might have a shot, but this is a good poll for Donald Trump. It really is. I mean, in 2020, their final poll had Donald Trump losing to Joe Biden by 7 percentage points. And as we know, Donald Trump did not lose Michigan by 7. It was between, 2 to 3 in the final tally, whatever, But in terms of what Trump needs to do to win the state of Michigan, I think that he has to set his targets. Wayne County. This is a county where Donald Trump, he got the highest vote percentage share in Wayne County since, I believe, for a Republican since 1988 or something. It was close, if not, and I think this time he's going to do even better. I think that he's going to cut that margin down. He could even cut it down by 5 points because, yeah, it's true that these Muslim voters are more likely to support Kamala than they were Biden, but Republicans have been making some gains with them anyways just because of, other reasons. And it's not like Kamala doesn't have direct ties to the administration. So I think Trump could improve in Wayne by 5%, depends. He could improve a little bit in Detroit City proper, run it up with the white working class voters on the western portion of Wayne County. That would be his target. Macomb County, could he get the margin to look a little bit more like the 2016 margin? It's very possible. He's got to improve. He could improve by 5 points there. I know it says R plus 10. I don't know why the election shuffler does that. And then in Oakland, because you have the auto industry, you have a lot of things going on here. In Oakland, he probably does need to turn a little bit of a corner, but I think that he can. Not all suburbs are created equal. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. There's parts of Oakland that move right in 2020. There's parts of Oakland that move left in 2020. He just has to kind of stop the bleeding a little bit there, hold his own, watch for the margins, try to get the best turnout you can, relatively speaking. And already you see the margin in the state is narrowed. And he's got to hold his own. He could lose a little bit in Kent and Ottawa, but he's going to have to gain 2 to 3 percentage points in the rest of the state. I believe that that's doable. Personally, do I think that this is a state that right now I'm confident in Donald Trump's ability to win? I don't know, but I am confident in his ability to improve. The question is it going to be by enough for him to go out there and beat Kamala Harris? It just depends. It really does, because the far left may be more energized now to vote. Is that really gonna be enough, though, because they were really supercharged during the 2020 presidential election, and we kind of saw what happened there. That's the baseline, because it's the map and you got to improve off of it. So already Donald Trump, if he's able to reach those 3 targets, he's going to be able to trim down that margin in half, a little bit more than that in the vote totals, and then he's going to have to do a little bit better in a lot of these rural counties, and they do add up, and they absolutely do. But if he's able to do that, then he'll have a good shot in the state. I think it's going to go down the wire. We may not know the winner of Michigan on election night, regardless. But either way, it's not just Michigan that Donald Trump is doing well in. He's also doing well in Minnesota, according to the polling, which is crazy to think about because this is Tim Walz's home state. It's the bastions of the far left in the Minneapolis area, which controls the state. The rurals are going to be red. But even then, Donald Trump improving, not just from the last poll they conducted, where he improved 5 points, which I think their previous poll had a lot of response bias, and maybe the response bias dying down is the real thing that's moving the polls, because public opinion doesn't change on a whim like that. But if you look at Minnesota, this is a state, it burned to the ground in 2020. It rewarded Biden with like a 7-point victory. And you're starting to see Kamala Harris picking that governor that oversaw that drama, and she's already losing ground in the state from 2020 on baseline, which, again, I'm not saying Trump's going to win Minnesota or it's high priority, but still, if we're talking about the fact that she picks the VP from the home state, can't even get a bump out of it, she gets a slump, it's not really all that great. And I've said it before, Tim Walz does not have that appeal. His former district, Biden won it by 10, and then he won it by 7, and then in all the other rural areas in the state he underperformed in. Yeah, I don't think Walz is going to save Kamala Harris. Obviously, Minnesota is not a state I expect Trump to win. He very well could get it within 5, which would be pretty funny and kind of a moral victory in a state that hasn't really gone Republican since 1972. But in terms of moral victories, I don't really think Kamala Harris can get one of those from her interview that she did last night. And while, of course, you'll have a lot of partisan individuals on the left that are going to say, oh, she did well. Yeah, no. Even the New York Times at times was kind of criticizing the interview, and people are debating in the liberal media if it was really a great interview or not. And here's the deal. I don't think she completely... on the surface level of the interview, it was not like a Biden-level disaster. But the problem is that Kamala Harris went to a friendly network that gave a softball interview, and it was only 18 minutes. We don't know how long the initial recording of it was, and she likely had the questions already known beforehand, and that's what she could do. That's the best she could do. I mean, she gave a lot of word salads. There was no depth to anything she said. When they asked her what would the first thing you do in office be, she's like, oh, well, we have to have a good middle class. And it was just a, minutes long word salad. And you needed Dana Bash to kind of go out there and make sure that she stayed focused. And even then, it really didn't do much. She was skipping questions. She claimed that her values never changed, but then apparently she said she changed her position on all of these things, and it was a genuine change. Nobody believes it. Nobody believes that her change in terms of all of her positions, whether it's fracking, defunding the police, which they didn't even talk about, or supporting open borders, whatever, which she still doesn't fully disavow, they haven't changed. Her values have not changed. And in this interview, all she did was make advertisement after advertisement for the Donald Trump campaign, which is not something that you want to do when you're in an interview like this. It's just really not. And that's kind of the problem with Kamala Harris. She goes out there, and this is her big moment to prove to people that she has policies, and she can prove to people that she is, different or better than Biden, and she's somebody that is deserving of their votes. This interview did not move a single undecided voter into her column. I'm not going to say that it changed the entire trajectory of the race, but definitely I think it's a little bit of a preview to the debate, which will be taking place in about, 11 days, which is going to be seen by a lot of people. A lot of people will be tuning into that, and we'll see what happens. But if that's the best she could do with all that preparation, she'll be a little bit more off the cuff. Donald Trump is going to be hitting her hard, exposing her record. She's definitely somebody that's going to crumble under pressure. She came off as nervous, came off as unprepared. That's not something that the average voter is going to want out of their president if they're even undecided at this point. But keep in mind, this election comes down to turnout. A lot of the polling shifts we see in one direction or another, they're all noise. Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, all those states are still up for grabs, and we need to get our voters out to vote. So make sure you register 5 people in a swing state. If you live in a swing state, or if you know people in a swing state, make sure they get out and vote, and make sure they vote for Donald J. Trump this November. Got to complete that revenge tour. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.